Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is the 5th installment in the Harry Potter series. This one was released in 2007 and was directed by David Yates and stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and just like the last 4 films, was indeed based off the book of the same name, written by J.K. Rowling. Welcome back to my Harry Potter marathon. For those who don't already know or forgotten, I am doing a Harry Potter marathon where I am reviewing all 8 Harry Potter movies just for the fun of it. I have already reviewed Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goblet of Fire on this channel, so if you haven't seen my reviews for the previous Harry Potter movies, all of those reviews are on my channel right now. And now with 4 down and 4 to go, we are now exactly halfway through this marathon. So let's continue this marathon by looking at Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. One thing I found rather eyebrow-raising about Order of the Phoenix is the fact it definitely doesn't seem to be the favourite Harry Potter movie for a lot of people. I mean, if you walk to a Harry Potter fan and ask them what their favourite Harry Potter movie was, chances are they're not going to say Order of the Phoenix. I know there probably are some people out there that would say Order of the Phoenix is their favourite, but it's definitely not the majority. To the point where it's tied with Deathly Hallows Part 1 as the lowest rated Harry Potter film on Rotten Tomatoes, both of which clocking in at 78%, and all the other installments in the series have higher ratings. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't get it. I mean, there are some people that would consider Order of the Phoenix to be one of the most underrated Harry Potter films, and I definitely agree. But there's something about Order of the Phoenix in particular that really had me raising an eyebrow. And this thing actually goes hand in hand with something I mentioned in my review for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. In my review for Chamber of Secrets, I commented on how weird it was that Chamber of Secrets is the second shortest book in the series, and yet Chamber of Secrets is the longest movie in the series, clocking in at 3 hours long if you're watching the extended cut. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is the exact opposite. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is by far the longest book in the series. I mean, seriously, look at the size of this thing. I've seen Bibles smaller than this. And they took the adaptation of this book, and they made it the second shortest movie. Why are we getting all topsy-turvy in terms of length here? So yeah, they took the longest book in the series and they made it the second shortest movie, which is odd, but who cares? This film once again does a great job of really making you sympathise and root for Harry, even in just one scene of the film. The very first scene of the movie is Harry being picked on and made fun of by Dudley Dursley and the rest of his friends. After bullying him, Dudley is then attacked by a Dementor that is killing him, and so Harry is forced to pull out his wand and use a Patronus spell in a successful attempt to save his life. Despite the fact that Harry absolutely hates Dudley, for obvious reasons. And even though he's reluctant to do this, this also involves using magic outside of Hogwarts, something that is very, very strictly forbidden. And so since he's done this, he receives a letter from Hogwarts informing him that he is expelled. Ugh, poor kid. But another thing about this film is the fact that Harry feels a lot more vulnerable in this movie than previous installments, because he is almost completely alone. He continues to face discrimination by a lot of people. I mean, he got over the whole having his name in the Goblet of Fire thing from the last film, but now he's facing discrimination for outwardly saying that Voldemort is back, and no one wants to believe him. Harry himself, along with Dumbledore, some of his friends like Ron and Hermione, and Sirius Black, are really the only people in this movie that actually truly believe Harry when he says that Voldemort is back. But that just makes it so when he finally is able to get an entire group to believe him and really accept that Voldemort is back and rally with him, stuff like that is just made so much more satisfying considering the amount of discrimination he faces throughout the rest of the film. And I know I've said this throughout the last 4 reviews, but it bears repeating, I love these characters. Despite the fact that we are now 5 movies into this series, the connection and chemistry between Harry, Ron and Hermione is still incredibly tight. They give off really great performances, and they just have this really great, strong connection. And you really truly buy that these 3 are great friends. And it's really quite impressive seeing these 3 characters maintain that chemistry and connection throughout 5 movies. That is really impressive. And there are also some other characters that appear throughout the series that I actually meant to mention earlier in this marathon, but I kind of keep forgetting to. But there are 2 certain characters I absolutely love in this series, Fred and George Weasley. I love these guys. We're getting to the point where the series is really declining in terms of tone. It's getting much darker and much more grim and a lot more gritty than the previous films. And the tone and mood of the film is easily enlightened every time Fred and George come up on screen. I know they're kind of used for comic relief, but it's really good. I love these guys and they generate a lot of the funniest moments throughout this entire series. These are just really funny characters. I love these guys. And honestly, they kind of weigh the series down by not being in it enough. Sirius Black finally makes a return in this movie after his absence from Goblet of Fire, which is fantastic because, as I said in my review for Prisoner of Azkaban, I absolutely love this character. I love Sirius Black. I just love this guy. He kind of acts like a father figure to Harry, and they just have this really great strong bond and friendship that he doesn't really have with any other characters in this series. There's just this really strong connection, and he's overall just a really lovable, very nice, likable guy. He's one of my favourite characters in this series, and it's great to see him return in this film. And then he dies. Okay, that may be a bit of an extreme response, but seriously. I think out of the death scenes in this series, I think Sirius Black's is by far one of the saddest. And overall, I think the scene where he dies is very well executed. And the fact they apparently had to mute Harry's scream because originally they did record it on set, but they had to mute it because it was too intense, pretty much tells me everything I wanted to know about how emotional this scene was. It was very impactful. Yes, it does work when it's muted, and it's a really powerful moment. But I myself, along with a lot of other people, are very curious to hear how that sounded. And overall, it's just a really well done, really well executed, and overall a really tragic, sad scene. Despite the fact that this is what his face looks like right before he dies. I think I just ruined that scene for myself, and everyone else. Sorry about that. There are also new characters I've really come to like in this series. In this movie we are introduced to Luna Lovegood, which is just such a really cool character. I love this character. And this is one of the series' best casting choices. I just really love the person they got to play as Luna. The way she's acted, the way she's written, the way she behaves, just everything about this character I love. She's by far one of the weirder characters from this movie, but I have no problem with that. There's one character I really wanted to talk about all marathon, but didn't really think it was that relevant up until now, was Neville Longbottom. I heard that apparently in the start of the books, he starts off as a clumsy, bumbling idiot, which he does as someone who's read The Philosopher's Stone. But I heard that as the books progress, he very slowly and gradually becomes one of the coolest and strongest and overall one of the best characters in the series. And it's a very gradual progression, which I really love that concept. And overall, a character like that from the books has so much potential as a character like this from the movies. I think the actor for Neville was fantastic. Unfortunately, I am not a fan of how his character was written. The actor was great and all, but they really needed to get better writing for this character. Because throughout the first 4 movies, there's no sense of progression. Throughout the entire first 4 movies, he just remains the same bumbling idiot throughout the first half of the series. There are only a couple of small minor exceptions to the rule throughout the films. In Philosopher's Stone, the only step forwards we see is when Neville attempts to try and face against his friends and try and stop them for looking for the Philosopher's Stone in the climax of, well, Philosopher's Stone, and that plan ends up backfiring on him, or later on in Goblet of Fire when he tries to tell Harry about the seaweed. And apart from those 2 minor exceptions, Neville just really remained the same bumbling idiot comic relief character, which I'm not a fan of. And his character overall remains the same. Until Order of the Phoenix. I love how Neville joins the army that Harry is putting together, and his confidence is slowly and gradually building as the film progresses. This character arc is a huge improvement and step forward with Neville's character. I really love how in this movie his character really stepped out and broke out of the mold of the bumbling idiot stereotype. So yeah, great job Neville. Love this character in Order of the Phoenix. And then there's Dolores Umbridge. What can I say about Dolores Umbridge? Dolores Umbridge is Harry's new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher since they keep changing every year. because they end up backfiring for some reason. Seriously, why do Hogwarts keep getting such terrible defense against the dark arts teachers? I mean, half of the defense against the dark arts teachers, ironically, are people that want to kill Harry, which is really ironic when you think about it. But yeah, Dolores Umbridge. If somebody walked up to me and asked me how I felt about Dolores Umbridge in one sentence, the sentence I would say would probably go something along the lines of what follows. Umbridge is a bitch. She's evil, she's manipulative, and she takes over the whole school by creating these really, really absurd rules. Not to mention, she actually pretty much refuses to do her job correctly. She doesn't actually teach them how to do good defense against the dark arts. Despite the fact that defense against the dark arts is something that is desperately needed at this point since Voldemort has returned. She refuses to teach them how to do magic to defend themselves. She's very controlling and she's trying to pretty much take control of the entire school, including getting rid of innocent teachers, including Albus Dumbledore. Oh no, Dolores Umbridge, you do not touch Albus Dumbledore! She has all these ridiculous opinions and rules, and if you so much share a different opinion, she will put you through hell. Oh, and not to mention, she is the only character in this series, besides Voldemort himself, that is actually successful at leaving a lasting scar on Harry's body. During the scene where she forces Harry to write, "I must not tell lies" with a blood-sucking quill. She's the kind of character that made Draco Malfoy and the Dursleys put together look kind in comparison. And that is a sign when you have an incredibly well-crafted character. I mean, you really have to put everything you can into the way the character is written and the way the character is acted in order to really get your audience to grind their gears against one character. I mean, the fact that I actually care so much and the fact I'm able to actually get angry at this character is exactly what the filmmakers wanted. So, mission accomplished. You did your job right. Dolores Umbridge was amazingly well written and acted because it does a great job at making me absolutely despise her. Seriously, I absolutely despise this character. To the point where, and I know I am not the first person to say this, and I probably won't be the last, but I honestly hated this character so much, I thought she was worse than Voldemort. Hell, even J.K. Rowling herself thinks that she's worse than Voldemort. I mean, yes, Voldemort is evil, but he does not have any attempts on hiding it. He is fully outward about him being evil. He's evil and he has absolutely no problem showing it, and he definitely doesn't try to hide it. He is fully outward about how evil he is. But Dolores Umbridge is just shady. She acts like she's one of the good guys wearing the cute pink fluffy colours and everything, and overall just looks and behaves like a really nice cute woman that really just appreciates being good. However, everything she does and says portrays the exact opposite. She acts all innocent and proud, and yet she does some of the most despicable stuff in the series. Which is why I think so many Harry Potter fans, including myself, claim they wanted her dead more than Voldemort. Dolores Umbridge is the only character in this entire series that actively makes me angry every time she pops up on screen. Okay, now, let's take a deep breath. You guys have no idea how much of a relief it is to finally get that off my chest. I've been waiting all marathon to talk about Dolores Umbridge. Moving on to less infuriating subjects, let's talk about the tone and cinematography of the film. This is something I've lightly touched upon throughout previous reviews. However, one thing I really have come to appreciate about these movies is the fact they start off really brightly lit, and they're very warm and very cozy and very inviting and just overall very pleasant and uplifting to sit through. However, as the films go on, they gradually go darker, more cold, more sinister, more atmospheric. And now Hogwarts is really shot like a cold, really depressing, desolate place. And I think this is really relevant considering Hogwarts is now becoming extremely dangerous, especially with Voldemort's return. And so knowing this, plus Umbridge's horrible teaching, Harry decides to put it within himself and become an efficient leader by using the Room of Requirement. And so this is the first time in the series where we actually get to see Harry teach, and it is incredibly fun to watch. I absolutely love the scenes that take place in the Room of Requirement. They're entertaining, they're enthralling, and it's great seeing Harry take that step forward in becoming an efficient leader. And it's just really satisfying to watch. I can't say enough good things about it. And when they finally get caught by Umbridge, it's a very serious oh crap moment. The sequence when Snape tries to teach Harry how to block his mind and try and how to protect his mind from Voldemort is a very great scene as well. And it's also the scene where we find out some very, very important information that Harry's father essentially treated Snape like Draco treats Harry, which really adds a lot more and explains so much about Snape's character. And I absolutely love the scene when Harry accidentally frames Dumbledore. It's such a sad scene and you feel so sorry for both of these characters. And Dumbledore takes the situation remarkably well. One thing I have noticed though is that while this is a relatively dark movie, that just makes other little small moments like when he has friends or family telling him that they believe in him, or even people that once bullied him now saying that they believe him, are all the more heartening. And it's just those little moments that really make the film more pleasant to sit through. Or the training sequences, which I absolutely love. And the darkness that lurks around the school, you now have a much higher appreciation for these more uplifting scenes. And damn, seeing Dolores Umbridge getting punished at the end is satisfying.
Do something! Tell them I mean no harm!
I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
What are you doing?
Boom! In your face. Burned. I love that scene. The cinematography is great once again, but that's pretty much become a default at this point. The climax is incredibly fun. I love it. And this time we actually get to see Wizard War. Now, in theory, it's just people pointing sticks at each other with little effects coming out of it. But it's just so cool to watch! I mean seriously, I find this stuff as entertaining as lightsaber duels. But the highlight of the climax for me was by far the mental conflict between Harry and Voldemort, during the scene where Voldemort possesses Harry. It's a very powerful and a very emotional scene, and Daniel Radcliffe's performance in this scene is perfect. I love it. It's incredibly well acted, the scene is incredibly well edited, there's very little dialogue in this scene, and yet you can just really see the emotion in Dumbledore's eyes. As he's just watching this little 15-year-old suffer as he's being tortured on the ground, and there's nothing he can do except watch. And that makes the scene heartbreaking. The score is, once again, fantastic. I really can't say enough great things about it. I just love the score. I really don't have anything to complain about this movie. I really don't get why it is considered one of the worst Harry Potter films, because I absolutely love Order of the Phoenix. I think this movie is awesome, and it's honestly at least in my top 4 favorite Harry Potter films. I'm going to give Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix an A+. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm having a ton of fun talking about these Harry Potter films. Stay tuned for my review for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I am really looking forward to talking about that one. But until then, yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!